This meeting is being recorded.
Problem 1 from Chapter 2 asks us to draw a Lewis structure for each of the compounds that are listed here below. So we can work from left to right and read through these molecular structures. And first, we're going to draw the carbon chain and any atoms that will be attached to this carbon chain. So let's begin here by drawing this carbon atom. And we see that there are also two hydrogens bonded to it. And then on the other side, that carbon is bonded to another carbon. So we've drawn up to this point here, to that carbon. Right? So we have a carbon bonded to our first carbon and two hydrogens. So let's move next to the second carbon, and we see that it is also bonded to its own hydrogen, and next would be bonded to an oxygen. So now we're up to that atom there. Next to that oxygen, we see a CH2. So that means that we have a carbon that has two hydrogens bonded to it. So we're up to here now, that CH2 group. And next to that, we see another carbon that has a hydrogen bonded to it and two methyl groups. So this last carbon chain, or the last carbon on the chain, we're going to also attach, let's actually draw those hydrogens expanded. So we're going to attach these two methyl groups, and we're going to draw all the hydrogen bonds and all lone pairs in 1 second. So now that we have the carbon chain, we're going to double check and see if we need any double or triple bonds, if any atoms are lacking an octet, and then we'll also check to see if any lone pairs are needed. So starting at our first carbon in our structure, in our Lewis structure, we see that that only has 3 bonds, and so does the carbon next to it. So since these two first carbons on the left only have 3 bonds each, we would draw a second bond. So this would be a double bond in the Lewis structure between these two carbon atoms. And then when we move next door to the oxygen, we notice that the oxygen is neutral. There's no formal charge indicated. So we know that to be neutral, oxygen likes to have 2 bonds and 2 lone pairs. So this is our Lewis structure for the first molecular formula. Let's take a look at B here and see if we can do the same thing. So notice that in compound B, we start with something in parentheses here. So we're going to skip over that and begin by drawing this carbon atom here. So let's take a look at what that would look like. We have a carbon atom that's bonded with this starting group here to 2 ethyl groups. So that's what I have underlined, the 2 ethyl groups. And then it's also bonded to a hydrogen over here. So we're going to draw a hydrogen, and then we're going to draw a CH2, a CH3 up here. And then coming out down here, we're also going to draw another ethyl group. So a CH2, CH3. So now we're up to this point here where that hydrogen is. So next door to our first starting carbon, if we skip over that hydrogen that we already drew, we have another bond to a carbon atom. So we'll draw that out. And then that carbon atom is a CH2. So we know that there's 2 hydrogens bonded to that. Next door to that, we have another CH2. And then on the end, we have an OH group. So let's take a look at our structure here and see if any of our carbon atoms are missing 4 bonds. It looks like they are all right. They all have their full octet. So let's look at that oxygen. It has 2 bonds, one to the carbon, one to the hydrogen over here. So we're just missing those 2 lone pairs.